I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to this very pleasant day on, what are we at, Tuesday, April 4th already. And I'd like to welcome you to the City Board meeting. We'll begin with invocation by Keith Capps, and then I'll formally introduce the individual who will be leading us in the pledge. All rise.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day that you've given us. God, another opportunity to gather on behalf of this beautiful city. God, I thank you for these leaders and the job that they do. And I pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment and help them to just make wise decisions on behalf of your people. And God, I pray that you would just bless them, bless their families. Please protect them, provide for their needs. God, I pray that you would pour out your favor over Hot Springs, that you would just bless our city. And God, I want to remember our neighbors across the state who are hurting this evening, recovering from these storms. I pray that you would pour favor on them. God, and just help us to be a help in any way that we can. God, and please protect us from potential of more storms this evening. God, I just, as we look to Easter, I pray that you would just bless this city, that you would make everything that we do, God, bring you glory and honor. Thank you for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
I'd like to call on our newly installed Chief of Police, Billy Harvington. Chief Harvington, please lead us in the pledge, and thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. We'll now call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday.
Here.
Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia.
Here.
Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda, or items to be moved from consent agenda to new business?
Mayor,
Yes.
I just motion to move resolution R2348 to discuss and vote to new business, and then also move our resolution R2354 to vote.
So you're asking for item 4 and item 10 to be moved from consent agenda to new business.
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All in favor say nay.
No.
Nay. Let's do
No.
a show of hands. All those in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion dies. Oh, okay. Procedural matter. The city attorney just made me aware that if we just have 2 directors, the item will be moved to new business. So item 4 will now be the first item under new business, and item 10 will be the second item under new business. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, sir.
So I will consider approval of the agenda as amended. Need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by
Second.
Director Dobbs-Smith. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. This time we'll consider approval of the minutes. We had 2 sets of minutes, one for the regular held meeting on March 7th, 2023, and a special called meeting on March 28th, 2023. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Director Webb.
Second.
Seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. This time we'll have a recognition of guests. We have actually two proclamations. And I'd like to call upon Director Tracy Childress, Holly Herr, and Brandon Canyon of the Child Abuse Awareness. So welcome to the City Board meeting. We have this proclamation to read and present to you. City of Hot Springs proclamation, whereas child abuse and neglect are serious problems affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas our children are the most valuable resources and will shape the future of Hot Springs, and whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse, and whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, developmental well-being of children. And whereas active child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas cities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create healthy and thriving children and families, and whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention means the best defense for our children and families. Now therefore, I, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as National Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Month in Hot Springs, and urge all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for children and families. And witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be affixed on this 4th day of April in the year of our Lord 2023. So thank you so much for what you do for our children and families.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the City of Hot Springs for your continued support, as this is our 20th year that we've been here providing services to the children and families of Garland County. We couldn't do it without the support that we receive. So thank you once again for inviting us in tonight, giving of your valuable time, and supporting us. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a second proclamation that we'd like to read today regarding the Wylands National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation. Whereas the abundant supply of clean drinkable water and environmental stewardship are the lifeblood of economic development in the City of Hot Springs and the surrounding Garland County. And whereas the Wyland Foundation is sponsoring the 12th Annual National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation as a friendly competition between cities in the United States to see who can be the most water-wise. Mayors nationwide will challenge their residents to conserve water, energy, and other natural resources on behalf of their city through a series of informative, easy-to-use pledges online. And whereas all residents of Hot Springs and Garland County can participate by taking a simple pledge on the internet at www.mywaterpledge.com during the month of April 2023. And whereas all citizens can help do their part by taking the pledge to help promote a water-secure future for generations to come. Now, therefore, I, Pat McCabe, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the entire Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 as Water Conservation Awareness Month in Hot Springs, and urge all residents to take the pledge at www.mywaterpledge.com to conserve water and protect our environment. Witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be fixed on this 4th day of April in the year of our Lord 2023. The community has been involved in the Water Pledge project for many years, and Mr. Burrow, were we not like 3rd place in the country a few years back, about five years ago or so?
I believe it came in second that year.
Second that year. And so please go to the website there at www.mywaterpledge.com and sign up, and appreciate your continued support on water conservation. This time we'll hear from Mr. Troutman, President and CEO of the Greater Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce, where he'll provide the March Economic Development Report. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Get a double dose this week. I understand Cole just presented to you last week on February. Just a little nuance in the schedule because of spring break, so we'll get caught up tonight. Month of March, we had another ACTI prospect. This one sent to us by Steve Harrison that Dr. Porter has visited with. Forrest Spicer and I went out to visit with Matt Bell at Origami Sake, and we also happened to be out there this afternoon lining out. I feel like it's one project we've had that's played out before we've even had the announcement, and we've all read about it in the Democrat Gazette, Sentinel, various media. But a press conference is scheduled for May the 16th, and I hope to see you all there at 10 o'clock. We hope to have you all and several other dignitaries there that day. Mentioned to you last month, was honored to be on the U.S. Chamber Board of Regents. We had our orientation Zoom meeting for that. Congressman Westerman was in town and in Malvern. We had a couple of stops with him. We went to Malvern to visit with Judge Thornton, continuing on the Jones Mill Industrial remediation. Been there 2 or 3 times this month. You're probably going to get sick of me saying this every month, but I encourage you to go. If you're at Jones Mill, take 3 extra minutes, jump off the highway and take a look. It is fascinating. There are 7 buildings that have been torn down. There's probably 8 or 9 by now, but 7 buildings have torn completely down. And these buildings are about 200 to 250 yards long. So no small feat. They're hauling those away, separating the steel from the concrete and various other, and trucks are hauling those to other points and getting out of the way. So probably about a year from now, maybe not quite that long, we'll be talking in more depth about projects there. Our initiative this month was really to get Gary Jackson in front of our company, so you're going to hear me talk a lot about that. We started the month with Radius, a visit to Radius and tour there. I want to congratulate Alliance Rubber. Alliance Rubber had their 100th anniversary, 79 of those years here in Hot Springs, so quite a feat for any company, quite a legacy to go that long. Gary had a CTE Professional Learning Community class with all our workforce folks from the 7 area schools. Cole and I attended the Arkansas Business of the Year banquet, and we really hoped that Majestic Park and Keith Smith would win. They did not, but the old saying, it is an honor to be nominated. There were only 3 in the category that Keith Smith was in, so that was huge, and I believe there were only 5 in Majestic Park, and as you probably know, they were against more traditional businesses instead of type of operation that they are. So, but nice that they got the statewide recognition. We toured Cobalt Aerospace, had mock interviews with Lake Hamilton seniors, met with the superintendent and career counselor at Jessieville. We went to Fort Smith, took a road trip to Fort Smith. You've heard me talk a lot about the Saline County Career and Tech Center. We saw the Peak Innovation Center in Fort Smith. It's actually about 20-30% larger than Saline County, but currently they only have 3 vocations, where I believe Benton has 8 or more. But room to grow. It is their first year. They did have a lot of equipment from the local industry that they provided them. We got to go to the welcome that night with Mike Rogers, the governor's new workforce officer, Cody Waits from Office Skills and Developments, and Dr. Sharice Childers from the workforce, head of the Workforce Services for Arkansas. The event itself was nice. I will tell you there were about 7 to 9 schools, about 30 plus employers. And I was on the phone with Amanda Porter today from Lake Hamilton. Put this in perspective, we've already got 1,000 kids coming on Tuesday of the event on the 25th. We've got 900 coming on Wednesday. We've already got 15 schools, which would make our event bigger than the ones they're having in Jonesboro, Springdale, Rogers, Fort Smith, and Stuttgart. And we've got 55 companies. and we've still got about 10 days to go before our deadline. So ours is just going to be massive. We're very excited about that. We're excited about bringing people from West Central Arkansas to Hot Springs to live here full-time and be part of our workforce as well. At that event, Gary got to meet with Joe Quinn. I've told you, and I'll tell you in a second about the SHRM grant that we had. It actually has been bumped from $60,000 to $75,000 for the work we're doing in workforce and workforce education. Gary got to meet with Joe Quinn and talk about that in Fort Smith about his thoughts on our local workforce. We raced home that night. I wanted to get to Malvern to their quorum court meeting. Again, Jones Mill, we're working with them. There are only 2 folks at the Malvern Chamber and their equivalent of Metro Partnership. We've got 9, so no doubt we're going to be doing a lot of the marketing, most of the marketing on that. So I wanted to meet with them and get a good working relationship going with them. We did the Leadership Arkansas group was in town recently at ASMSA. Dr. Porter, Colonel White, and I gave the ACTI presentation to them, updates there. 40 under 40, we nominated 4 local young leaders, and I'm not at liberty to divulge, but at least one of those has been honored. We got word of that yesterday. Spring break in Arkansas, we had huge crowds here on top of big crowds from Texas and Oklahoma the weeks before. Toured Tanner's Team Sports, Radius Aerospace, again, sent draft day email invitations to about 60 companies. We've toured Triumph Airborne. We had our MSA group with our friends from the Village, Malvern, and Arkadelphia. Crystal Ridge Distillery, if I may just a second. If you all remember, Crystal Ridge opened 3 years ago, and 5 days later COVID hit. So it is more than just a nice aside that they are celebrating 3 years in business, because they had every challenge you could possibly think of from the get-go. Toured Airtech Supply, Smith's Consumer Products, participated in the Garland County Litter Task Force, and if there is an initiative with the city, we would love to participate in that as well. A couple things that you probably won't read about that you should, because they're big news. Last week we had ACT Work Ready Community Training at National Park College. We had the folks in from Iowa and Missouri and Texas from ACT, 2 days of training there. They came. Arkansas had 35 counties that were what they call lit and either certified or in the process of being. When they left, we had 45. So we were able to, what originally was supposed to be just Garland, Montgomery, and Hot Spring County wound up being 11 counties that were represented. So phenomenal event. 20 attendees turned into 88. And so a lot of progress there in workforce education. And then I mentioned, of course, the SHRM grant. Because we were there, Gary and I could not go. Cheryl and Cole represented us that day. They had the SHRM director from Washington, D.C. there for that event. So we're going to be a test market there. Timber Automation was another tour. Met with Dr. Ross and Scott Dews, our 2 chairs, Chamber and Partnership. Want to congratulate Oaklawn on $65,000 on a beautiful Arkansas Derby Saturday. And currently, and I'll wrap up, currently Vince Signorelli, our chair of the partnership next year, and Gary Jackson are spending this week at Mid-South Economic Development in Little Rock, learning all they can about economic development to further help our community in the next year and beyond. And as chair of that of AEDC next year, I'll be assisting them tomorrow and Thursday. That concludes my report. Happy to try to answer any questions if I may.
Any questions of Mr. Troutman?
Mayor, if I may, that was a busy month. This one's going to be busier. We've got the Academic Excellence Awards Banquet on the 13th, celebrating the top 5% of graduates in Garland County. We've got the Metro Partnership Banquet on the 18th. Hope you all will attend that. We've got the Elected Officials Appreciation Breakfast on the 20th. Certainly hope you'll attend that. And as I mentioned, Draft Day at the end of the month, the 25th and 26th. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Appreciate you all much.
Appreciate your report. This time we'll hear from our city manager, Mr. Bill Burrow, for the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned earlier our new police chief, and Chief Harvard, if you come up to the podium for a moment. Want to introduce him, and most people know Billy. He's been around for several years in our police department. I made the hiring announcement late Wednesday, March the 29th. He has served as interim chief of police since January 21st of 2023, following the former chief of police, Chris Chapman, his appointment to director of the Arkansas Commission on Law Enforcement Standards Training. This wasn't the first time that Chief Harvenden has held that role as interim chief of police. He and Chief Chapman led efforts to implement a crime reduction strategy in 2020. We have seen that result in significant decreases in crime in our Hot Springs community. There was a 7% overall crime decrease, and 3 of our 4 major reporting categories were also down. Chief Harvenden, through his career, has done just about everything there is to do in our police department. 17 years on SWAT. I forget how many years. It was 6 years as commander. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Over 3,600 hours of intense police training. I was very pleased to see the chief apply for that position. We had 3 great candidates in Chief Harvenden, Captain Michaud, and then Captain Ivy with the Maumelle Police Department. But we chose Chief Harvenden to be our police chief, and I'm very proud to announce that. And just welcome you to that position, and want to give you an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it. As I've said before, it's truly an honor and a privilege to be appointed to this position. I mean that sincerely. I know there's going to be a lot of work ahead. There'll be many challenges, but we'll meet those head on, and I want to continue with our crime reduction efforts and all the efforts that we've already started and see those through. And I think we'll have some good years ahead of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to hear from individual directors on announcements regarding upcoming events. Do directors have an upcoming event? Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. This Sunday, the 9th, is Easter Sunday, and a community lunch will be served at Farmers Market beginning at 11:30 for anyone and everyone in the community to come out and have a nice Easter Sunday lunch. No charge, it's all free, it's for our community. Thank you.
Very nice. Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Friday, April 21st, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., Spa City Co-op will be hosting an Earth Day park cleanup at Family Park. They will have trash bags and gloves. Let It Be Garden and Designs will be hosting a workshop making upcycled wind chimes and yard art. And they will also be providing small biodegradable pots and wildflower seeds as a take-home for the children who attend the event. Currently, they're expecting around 15 children and 10 adults to attend. Those numbers could increase as they get closer to this event. Contact information, the first route is email, and it's spacity.homeschoolers@gmail.com. And if you need that to be spelled, I know Miss Harmony here will work with me after the meeting to make sure that we get it on the city's website. But that again is spacity.homeschoolers@gmail.com. And then the second way is on Facebook. The group name is Earth Day Cleanup at Family Park. And again, that is Friday, April 21st, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That is the day before Earth Day. Thank you.
Very good. Any other directors have announcements? Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. Most of you know Adult and Teen Challenge of Arkansas has been in our community for almost 50 years. They're having their annual banquet on April the 13th across the street, the same day as the Academic Excellence folks will be over there, the students, but Adult and Teen Challenge will be there April 13th. I believe it starts at 6:30 that evening, and if you have an interest in attending, I'd be happy to get you set up to do that. It's been my privilege to serve on that board for 33 years now, so thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Any other announcements from directors? Hearing none, I'm going to head back to Mr. Burrow. He, when we all sat down after the applause, I just kind of cut him off, I guess. So we're going to go back to him so he can finish his report. Maybe next time that'll be the last item you bring up.
Well, Mayor, that is not the first time that's happened, so that's okay. Just a couple other things. Happy to announce that our January sales tax was 8.19% higher than January 22. After the city sales tax had a year-end increase of 7.37% for 2022. You know, that was a record year, and to see us come out in January and be able to even top the prior January by over 8%, I think that puts us in a really good footing moving into this new year. A couple of engineering projects that we've worked on for quite some time. Wayfinding signs are scheduled to be installed this week. New bus shelter pads, several of those are scheduled to start being installed this week as well. Once the pads are in, they'll receive the bus shelters that we obtained through transit funding. RDOT has permitted the pedestrian hybrid beak, we call it the Hawk system, beacon signal at Central and Bath. We got to put it out for bids, but we've worked about 3 years to get this approval. It'll be the first one that we have in the city. And this type of beacon is actually an overhead light that when somebody engages the button for the pedestrian cross, that beacon will come out where you can see it in your lane of traffic, not over on the sides of the road. There's a lot of activity in downtown, and a lot of times you're trying to focus on the sign, look for the person in the crosswalk, and then watch the cars in front of you. A lot of things happening down there when we have a lot of people. I'm really pleased to see this Hawk system, and I've seen it in operation in another city where I got lost, and it was a rainy day, and found myself in this, my wife and I found ourselves in this beautiful little downtown in Texas that had one of the highest pedestrian accident ratios in the country. And they attacked that head on with these beacon signals. And I can tell you from 2 blocks away, you can see this, letting you know that there's a crosswalk or somebody in the crosswalk. So very, very proud to say that we finally got that approved. It's been quite some time. Can't wait to see it up. We'll get that out to bid real soon, but we do have the approval. Also, RDOT has permitted a left turn signal at Malvern and Martin Luther King Expressway, or at the bypass. This job is currently being designed. This came from several citizen requests. We have a left turn sign as you're coming north, but there is not one going south. So this will allow that traffic. In the mornings, if you're around Lakeside School, you know that we need a light to get back on that expressway. So pleased that we were able to get that approved, and I believe that's a 90-10 match for us on a grant. So the 2023 budget is available online. Want to thank Karen Scott and her team. They've completed the budget book, and we have sent that into GFOA, and you can find that at thecityhs.net/finance. It can be viewed online. It's interactive. You can drill down into different departments or things that you might be interested in. So really appreciate the time that you and your staff put in on that with this new ClearGov software that we have. And then finally, more than $120,000 has been received through our water assistance program. Our utility billing services has received $120,302.97 through the Low Income Housing Water Assistance Program since July 1, 2022. We're happy to see that our residents continue to take advantage of this federally funded assistance program. We also have food subsistence and additional utility assistance, I believe, through United Way, that you can contact their office. So if you've had some issues and you're low to moderate income, please give us a call here at Utility Billing. We'll try to get you set up on this federal program to help you get caught up on that water bill. Mayor, that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. This time we'll give consideration to those items under the consent agenda. These are of a routine nature that do not warrant individual discussion. So I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
We got Director Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Consent agenda is adopted.
Can we recognize those that were just appointed?
Yes, I will do that. Let's, we had a number of appointments to commissions and committees of the City of Hot Springs, and I'd like to read some of those. And if you're here, please rise and so you can be recognized. Appointments to the Hot Springs Airport Advisory Committee, Darren Clark and Michael Abram. Are they here? Appointment to the Hot Springs Animal Control Advisory Committee, Christy Shamus, Ramona McLean, and Ann Kendrick. Are they here? We have one. Thank you. Thank you for your volunteerism. On the Hot Springs Community Development Advisory Committee, we have appointments for Alice Marie Marshall and Thomas Michael Kunnock. Very nice. Thank you so much for your participation. For the Hot Springs Historic Commission, appointments for Clyde Covington and Melinda Shunk. Are they here? No. Appointment to the Hot Springs Parks and Trails Committee, Rick Dwyer, Jerry Rappan, Robert Reddish, and Larry Williams. Any of them here tonight? No. Hot Springs Transportation Advisory Committee. I've seen Mr. John Goodman. He's here tonight. Thank you, John, for your continued service. The Hot Springs Urban Forestry Committee. We have appointments for Ed French and James Moore. All right, James, thank you. Hot Springs Planning Commission, we have appointments for Bill Vowell, Lori Erickson, Janice Davis, Rick Ramick, and Punisha Sharma. I know some are here. There they are. Thank you. Hot Springs, appointments to the Hot Springs Board of Adjustments and Appeals. And the Hot Springs Board of Zoning Adjustments, that's all in one. Appointing Bill Lamond and Rick Ramick. Is Bill and Rick here? No? But thanks to them for their service. So that completes those that are on the consent agenda. So we'll begin with new business. Also on their consent agenda is I know Corey Alderice is the Executive Director of the Arkansas School for Math and Science, and he had an item on the consent agenda, so we want to recognize him as well. Now we'll begin with item 4, consider resolution R-23-48, and I ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-23-48, a resolution appointing James Frierson to the Hot Springs Civil Service Commission. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
So
Motion
moved.
to adopt.
Second.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Webb. Discussion? Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is a committee that had 2 vacant seats. One was let me rephrase that. There were 2 opportunities to serve on this committee. One was renewing Mr. James Frierson's appointment to this committee, and then we had an open seat. And at the conclusion of the appointments, that open seat still remains. So I've just got a couple of questions to see how we address that. Number one, can the board or city manager bring recommendations to fill that open seat? Number 3, should we re-extend the deadline? Or number 2, should we re-extend the application deadline to take interested applicants? I know of at least 2 who have an interest to serve on this committee. Can they reapply?
What we'll do is we'll reopen it up and have another time frame for applicants to, put forth their nomination or application packet. So, Bill, you want to address the timing on that for seats that remain unfilled?
Mayor, if I could, I'll defer to our city clerk, Harmony, who handles that and knows what those upcoming dates will be.
Thank you. We do typically set the appointments every 6 months. That is something that is set in advance. I don't have those dates in front of me. I didn't know this was going to be pulled off, but those have been set for the fall. And I want to say that the interviews will be in September and the appointments in October.
Okay. Any
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mayor. That was the concern I had, is I didn't want us to go, another term or so with the vacant seat on this committee, especially having knowledge that there are citizens here in Hot Springs who want to serve the city and would love to serve in this capacity too. Many of which who tried to serve on other committees but were not appointed to those committees, but are looking for ways to serve Hot Springs. So thank you for that information.
Very good. Any other comments from directors regarding item 4, resolution R-23-48? Since we didn't have that on the list of items to be signed up for to speak, is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak to that issue? Here, seeing none, any discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Now we'll go to the second item from the consent agenda that was pulled to new business. So we'll consider resolution R-23-54 and ask city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-23-54, a resolution appointing Randy Foley, Ann Hare, Jonathan Martin, David Reagan, Carol Weatherford, Mark Allen, and Stephen Dubrisky to the Hot Springs Waterworks Advisory Committee. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Director Garcia, seconded by Director Trustee. Was there any, Director Webb, did you have some questions on that?
Thank you, Mayor. No, sir. No questions or discussion. I was just trying to request that we do a roll call vote.
Okay, that's fine. Please, Ms. Harmony, please call the vote by roll call.
Director Beard.
And before you do the roll call vote, what is this vote for?
Well, it's a vote to approve those names that are included in the resolution to serve on the Waterworks Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
No.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. You got everybody? Was it? I missed Director Holliday, so.
Yes.
Did I
You
say
got it.
aye? Said
Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Got it.
Well, I might have just didn't hear it. So, resolution is adopted. Now we'll move on to the original new business. Oh, did we not read everybody?
Did you? Okay.
Pardon?
Very good. I was just making sure you saw them out there.
Okay. Yeah, we have some members of the audience. Is James here for the Civil Service Commission? Was James here? Frierson? I know we have a number of people who are on the Waterworks Advisory Committee as just appointed. Randy Foley, please rise. Ann Hare, I didn't see Ann here. Jonathan Martin, I didn't see Jonathan. David Reagan is here. Carol Weatherford is here. Carol. I don't see Mark Allen. Is Stephen here? Dubrisky? No? Okay, well, thank you all for your willingness to serve in this important role. Okay, now we're going to get to new business, and we're going to consider Resolution R-23-72 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-23-72, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 201 Detroit Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
And Director Trustee, second by Director Garcia. And a staff report will be provided by Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. The City of Hot Springs is proposing condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant single-family residential structure, 201 Detroit Street. The structure was damaged by a fire on September 6th of 2022. At that time, the structure was inspected and deemed unsafe for habitation because of extensive structural damage. In the event of a fire, and in cases where the damaged structure is not at risk of collapse or does not pose another immediate risk, we allow the property owners time to work with their insurance carriers before contacting them and requesting that action be taken. After having allowed the owners of 201 Detroit adequate time, we contacted the owner, and at that point, she requested that the city assist with removal of the structure. The owner then signed a demolition waiver on January 17th. A limited title search determined that there were no other interested parties, and now, given the condition of the structure, we recommend removing the structure.
Very good. Any questions of Ms. Selman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Has anybody signed up to speak on this? I know the property owner has consented and signed all the appropriate
sir.
paperwork. Brian, is there anything else we need to read?
Anyone here to speak in opposition of a resolution condemning a certain structure at 201 Detroit? 201 Detroit. There is none, Mayor.
Thank you. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Now we'll move on to consider Resolution R-23-73, and ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-23-73, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 104 Ostego Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Webb. And again, the staff report will be provided by Planning and Development Director, Ms. Kathy Selman.
Thank you. The City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant single-family residential structure at 104 Ostego. The structure was damaged by a fire in February of this year, at which time the structure was inspected and deemed unsafe for habitation because of extensive structural damage. In cases where there is a fire and where the damaged structure is not at risk of collapse or posing another immediate risk, the policy is to allow property owners time to work with their insurance carriers. And in the case of 104 Ostego, however, the owner immediately contacted our office and requested city assistance with the removal of the structure. Property is owned by 5 individuals. All 5 separate owners signed a voluntary demolition waiver on February 13th. Following a limited title search, we determined there were no other interested parties, and now, given the condition of the structure, we're recommending that the structure be removed.
Very good. Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia.
I had a question regarding this and the other one previously about the fires. Were they occupied when these fires occurred?
Not to my knowledge.
And is it known if there was transient people that caused it, or what caused the fire?
Are you here on this item? Okay. Okay.
We'll call you up, ma'am, in a minute.
She is obviously more knowledgeable about this.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you can please come forward and state your name, address, and provide comment. Thank you.
I'm Lena Roberts, 104 Ostego. My grandson was living there, and he was there when the fire started. There is no insurance, and it was demolished. Did you have any other questions?
Okay. Well, thank you.
But he was living there. Thank you.
Ma'am, are you or any member of your family in opposition to this action taken by the board tonight?
No, I'm great. great with it. I was just here to, never been to one, so I thought I'd come.
Thank you.
Very nice, Hope.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. All right. Did we have any other questions of Ms. Selman? And we heard from any other member of the audience that wanted to come forward and speak on this item? Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. This time we'll consider Resolution R-23-74 and ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-23-74, resolution approving the Community Development Advisory Committee's prioritized fiscal year 2023 applications to serve as the basis for the fiscal year 2023 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Trustee. And for her third visit to the podium, Ms. Selman, Director of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Two numbers, 445,156 and 415,849. The first number, the bigger number, is the number that represents the needs of applicants in our community, and the smaller number represents the number that we have this year from HUD. So as always, the prioritization of the projects takes a lot of hard study and consideration, and your Community Development Advisory Committee, once again, has done that study and made those recommendations, and I'm here to bring that information forward to you tonight. The City of Hot Springs is an entitlement grantee of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grant Program. Authorization of CDBG funds is contingent upon submission and acceptance of an annual action plan detailing how funds will be spent. Annual action plans are due no later than 60 days following an announcement of fiscal year CDBG allocations. Failure to submit an annual action plan on time automatically forfeits grant funds allocated during that year. Preliminary approval of a prioritized list of CDBG applications enables the city to focus limited resources on completing statutory requirements to further qualify projects and submit an annual action plan within the required 60 days. Fiscal year 2023's allocation is $415,849 as announced by HUD on February 28th, 2023. I'm sure you're doing the math to figure out where the 60 days falls. We were alarmed when we got the allocation amount this early this year. It was about 3 months sooner than we expected to hear. It's great because you'll be able to put those funds to work sooner, but it was still a surprise. So, but we're going to be ready. We're going to meet it. Applications were accepted between December 8th and January 27th. An open application period was widely advertised in public notices in the Sentinel Record, online at cityhs.net, at public meetings, and direct emails to individuals, organizations, and prior applicants. 9 eligible applications were received, and they represent 3 nonprofits, 2 neighborhood associations, the City Engineering Department, and the City Planning and Development Department, who is responsible for administering the program. The applications were available to the public for review and comment on our website and in the Planning and Development Office. A duly advertised public hearing was held on March 2nd by the Community Development Advisory Committee, and applicants at that time presented their projects and answered questions. There was a time for public comment and extensive discussion following that. The Community Development Advisory Committee unanimously has recommended the below list of projects. There were 14 people attending the meetings. No written comments have been received up to the time of this meeting. And at the CDAC meeting, Janice Davis spoke in support of Habitat for Humanity, and Mark Stevenson spoke in support of Phoebe's request for the John Lee Webb House. The projects in the recommended order of priority are the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Planning and Administration, which cannot exceed 20% and which does not approach 20% in the request. Number 2, Crescent and Lafayette Sewer Line. This will benefit a Habitat for Humanity house. Gaines and Mayflower Sewer Line, again, Habitat for Humanity homes will benefit. Sales, Spa Area Independent Living Services will be able to do a bathroom renovation. Light Uptown is the Park Avenue Community Association in cooperation with the City of Hot Springs infrastructure to support their lighting program. Silver and Crescent Rapid Flashing Beacon. This was a joint request from the Gateway Community Association and the City of Hot Springs. The John Lee Webb House Interior Rehabilitation by Phoebe. Number 8 is Morrison Street Sidewalks from Cherokee to Central. This was a proposal from the City of Hot Springs. And finally, the Malvern Avenue Church Street Versatile Parking Area, and this was a cooperative application by the Gateway Community Association and the City of Hot Springs. Well, you'll remember those numbers. We don't have enough money to fund all of those. By the time 8 projects have been funded, there is a small amount left, which could go toward the Malvern Avenue Church Street Versatile Parking Area. But CDAC's recommendation to you is to fund applications 1 through 8. Projects in excess of the available amount of funding will be placed on hold for reconsideration should additional funding become available in 2023. There are several ways that additional funding can become available. Projects that have been funded in previous years may be accomplished at lower than the estimated cost. Projects that were funded in previous years or even on this year's list may turn out for some reason not to be done. And there is always the possibility, and in several recent years we have seen this, that additional funding will come our way from HUD. So all is not lost on the Malvern Avenue Church Street Versatile Parking Area. So should the actual grant exceed the amount requested, there is a proposal in the resolution for how those would be used. I don't anticipate that we will have that problem within the next several weeks. But thank you for your consideration on this. I know this is always difficult. This is a great benefit to our community, benefiting low and moderate income folks, and we're very pleased to present this to you tonight. And in another 2 weeks or 4 weeks, we will have the completed annual action plan to you for your final approval at that time. But this list will be the basis of that plan, how it is organized. Thank you very much.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia?
Thank you. On all of these projects where it's applicable, are they, when they're completed, will they all be ADA accessible?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The bathroom, absolutely. Sidewalk projects, always. In fact, one of the key goals on many of our sidewalk improvement projects is to provide that accessibility.
Thank you. I
Director
wanted to
Trustee?
confirm that.
Mhm.
In buildings, we'll have a ramp if needed.
Absolutely.
Thank
Director
you.
Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Kathy, are you aware of any past projects that have come in under budget or are not underway that there could be excess funds coming in
I
from?
cannot name them.
Okay.
There are a few that are out there
Okay.
that, the feasibility may change,
Sure.
so it's possible.
What's the timeline for them to complete those projects once they have been approved and are partially funded? Do they have a year or 2 years or 3
No,
years?
they actually have quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there is a deadline for the projects.
Okay.
The city, however, has a spending timeline. The city cannot have on a certain date each year at the end of October. We cannot have more than 1.5 times the amount of our annual allocation available to us to spend.
Okay.
So if we aren't spending timely, then the amount that we are behind on meeting that spending goal can be deducted from future years' allocation.
Okay.
So we are on the move to get this money spent.
Certainly. And then the last question, does HUD, when they contact you or award you additional funds, do they contact you to see what you might need, or do they just award an arbitrary amount and we can put it to work on the projects that we have listed?
They typically don't give you a map on how to spend it, which is why it's important that we have in your prioritization if we don't have enough, if we have too much language adopted so that any additional funds will know in what direction to look to spend
Okay.
them. Any expenditure of funds that was not as it was originally decided will come back to you in the form of an amendment.
Okay. But they don't inquire of you what your additional needs are for this current year?
That has never been their
Okay.
practice.
And it probably won't start this year either. Okay.
Probably not.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions of Ms. Selman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we have anybody sign up to speak on this item?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Come forward and please state your name and address, please, for the record. We have a microphone right here next to Mr. Spitzer.
And if I could just simply pass these out, these are for the council members and for those in attendance. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCabe. I just wanted to make a quick comment on this specific item because I live at 125 Oak Street in apartment 104. And unfortunately, despite being listed as HUD and handicapped accessible, the door on the building is not handicapped accessible, and I've gotten stuck there several times.
Okay. And what was the address again?
It's 125 Oak Street, Hot Springs, Arkansas, 71901. It is the former high school where Bill Clinton attended.
Okay. We have, Bill, we have some building inspectors that can take a look at that.
We'll follow up on that.
That would be greatly appreciated. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
just simply for safety's sake.
Certainly.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other members of the audience in attendance that'd like to speak on this matter? Any discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Well, the resolution is adopted. Now we'll move on to consider ordinance O-23-08, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director
Second.
Garcia, seconded by Director Webb. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules to read by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-23-08, an ordinance accepting alley number 23-001 located in Deanwood Number 2 North Subdivision, amended as a city utility alley. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by
Second.
Director Webb. And our staff report will be provided by Mr. Ron Seabright, Director of Public Works. Welcome.
Good evening. This particular property was originally platted as a roadway. It has been turned over as public right-of-way. It runs from the north edge of Dino Street down to the north end, dead end. It runs into a creek. What we're proposing is to adopt this section of public right-of-way as a stormwater utility. All the water from this subdivision converges at this one point and backs up into the street, and it's starting to deteriorate the street. So we're looking to build a concrete channel to alleviate that problem and hopefully make the two residents that live on both sides of that property happy.
Very nice. Any questions of Ron? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody sign up on this?
No, sir.
No? Any discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance O-23-09, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules to read by title only.
So moved. Second.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by Director Holliday. I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules to read by title only. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance O-23-09, an ordinance authorizing eminent domain condemnation proceedings for the acquisition of certain real property, ID 51313, located off Spring Street, owned by Dennis L. and Beverly A. Dodd, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by, who made the second?
Garcia.
Director Garcia. Very good. And staff report will be provided by Joey Stadler, Assistant Utilities Project Manager. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. The intent of the Spring Street Gravity Project is to increase the capacity, reduce sanitary sewer overflows, minimize infiltration and overflow. This project is also part of the city's effort to comply with Consent Administrative Order LIS 22-007. The design route requires a 20-foot permanent easement, utility easement crossing the vacant property, RPID 51313, located at 1874 Spring Street. Staff has been unable to contact the owners of this property and is requesting the board approval to proceed with the eminent domain process to secure utility easement. The appraised value for this utility easement is $1,708 and is funded by the board-approved 2020 wastewater bond issue. I do want to put some emphasis on the word acquisition. We're acquiring a right-of-way. We are actually not taking any property. So right now, the owners, Beverly and Dennis Dodd, own 62,726 square feet of property. And if we move forward with the eminent domain process, they will continue to own 62,726 square feet. We're just requesting a utility right-of-way to install and maintain a utility line.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Stadler?
Yes,
Director?
I have a question.
Beard?
The, you said that you spoke to the neighbors. I want to say their address is the 1876. That's the house next to the property that, do they, so when I went over there, there's people on so there's the empty space and then there's the neighbor's house with the big fence. The people that live on the other side of the fence, they're concerned that that whatever you're putting there is going to infringe on there. So is there a way to get information? Like, I wasn't able to explain it to them, but she told me that the neighbors like 3 houses down were explaining to her, I'm talking about 1900, which is two houses down from where you're talking about.
Okay.
So is there a way, because like they're hearing from other neighbors what's going on, they don't really know. Is there a way and I can't explain it to them, so.
Sure, sure. Now, I did speak with Ms. Halsey, who is just south of this property.
Right.
And we did have a property boundary survey completed on this property, so this project should not affect them whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
So other than the noise of construction and installation of the line,
Okay.
you know, but in the long term, it should not affect
All
them
right. She
whatsoever.
was wondering if she's going to need a fence, and I didn't know. Okay.
No.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Does the value of this easement get placed anywhere, since the owners could not be notified, so that it's set aside if eventually they come forward, or one of their relatives?
Yes, ma'am. So this ordinance simply authorizes me to file on behalf of the city of Hot Springs a lawsuit for eminent domain. The amount of the appraised value will be tendered with the registry of the court. The property owners will still be notified as they would be in any other type of litigation, and would be entitled to any value that is assessed for this taking, yes.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Wait, Dudley. Oh,
Director Webb, did you have a comment? Okay. Please call the roll.
Director Holliday?
Aye.
Beard?
aye.
Dobbs Smith?
Aye.
Webb?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Trustee?
Aye.
Mayor McCabe?
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. That concludes the action items for this evening. Now we'll entertain Board of Directors items for discussion. Directors have any items for discussion? Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to share with the board that since my appointment to the National League of Cities, Women in Municipal Government, and the Small Cities Commission, that I had the opportunity to attend a conference in Washington, D.C. last week. And as a result, I was able to meet with the Director of Government Affairs for the Secretary of the Interior. And before going, I spoke with Dr. Porter regarding the ACTI, the old Army-Navy hospital. And in these discussions with the Department of Interior regarding a transfer to the National Park Service, which is under the Department of Interior, they have asked for some more information that I'm in the process of gathering, working with the committees that are local that have been working on this, including Dr. Porter, to get that sent directly so that she can share that with the secretary and the director from the National Park Service. Also met with the chief of staff from Congressman Ross's office, Congressman Westerman, who has going back a few years. But Congressman Westerman has been helping us on this process a lot, and the environmental study is supposed to be completed in a couple of months and given to them, and for these agencies to review what the environmental next steps are, and of course the discussion of who and how that will be paid. But I was encouraged regarding the potential increased interest, because the Department of Interior first said no, they weren't interested. So this was of interest to Congressman Westerman's office as well. And also, while there, I attended workshops about affordable housing, and there are some really creative ideas that are occurring in other cities and programs that are going to particular, I want to share with everybody, and I'll send out some copies of information when I finish my trip report. And one of the things I picked up on the conversations that were occurring there is some concern regarding the debt ceiling and possible shutdown this summer. A lot of the agencies, such as HUD and others, are getting their grants out sooner than later. And some of these agencies said that they were concerned about that, and they're trying to do all they can to get those pushed out before something like that may possibly occur this summer. So I also met with the EPA representatives agency there, and I did ask about this potential new regulations regarding the water and the percentage of this chemical. But they indicated that it is primarily what they're trying to do is where companies have inappropriately had dumpings or leakage going into water and creeks, or and it goes into the water supply. They're not trying to make it harder for cities in our treatment process. So there may need to be more conversations regarding the specifics around that before that's implemented, because it sounds like their intent is good, but maybe some of the specifics within this regulation need to be amended. But I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this conference. I learned a lot, and I'll be sending you copies of information that Phyllis also participated in too. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other items for discussion from individual directors? Director Holliday.
First, I have a quick question for the city manager. Spring Fling and Hazardous Waste Day are still on the calendar coming up soon.
Yes, Spring Fling will take place on April 29th and 30th, end of the month. We'll, as we've done in the past, we'll have large 30 cubic yard dumpsters set out in every district, usually 2 in each district. There'll be a listing of those locations. We'll start publicizing those very soon if they're not already out. It'll probably start somewhere around 7, 8 on a Saturday morning. They'll be picking those up somewhere around 3:30, 4 on Sunday. Takes a little time to get that number of them back in, and I appreciate the solid waste department. I know how big an effort that is over those two days, and they'd have to come back on Monday and start your regular week. So it's pretty much all hands on deck when we're having this event. I want to thank the Southwest Central Regional Solid Waste Management District. They're the ones who actually provide the funding for the event, and look forward to them. Garland County is also taking participation in that at their landfill. So yeah, April 29th and 30th. Household hazardous waste. Again, the Solid Waste Board has agreed to fund 2 of these collections. The first being May the 15th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Garland County Fairgrounds. And that particular event is for household quantities of household hazardous waste only. I've been asked, well, what exactly is that? And I usually tell them, whatever you kind of have on that shelf in your garage, under your kitchen sink, those kind of things. But they'll be collecting those. Paint, we get a lot of paint at that event. But May 15th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Garland County Fairgrounds.
Very good.
And then I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our 3rd annual Cherry Blossom Festival. The Arkansas Cherry Blossom Festival took place this weekend on Sunday. I don't know the attendance numbers yet, but it kicked off at 12:30, and by 10 after 12, the hallways were packed around the arena for people ready to get in and start the opening ceremonies, and it was busy all day. And it's really great that we have that. It celebrates our sister city. They had vendors in from all over the region with all kinds of cultural activities and information about Japan. And yeah, it's just really exciting that that's grown so much, it being only the 3rd annual and being so well celebrated and well attended here.
Additional items, Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just want to follow kind of what City Manager Bill Burrow was saying earlier and congratulating Chief Harvington. In my opinion, we made a great move in hiring you to advance our crime reduction goals. I'm proud of you, and I look forward to observing your leadership in full effect. I also just want to give you my sincere thanks for attending District 4 quarterly safety meeting last week. At this meeting, we were introduced to the newly formed community division, and I'm not sure what the official acronym for it is, but it's the newly formed Community Development Division that the Hot Springs Police has in effect now through this recently obtained grant for almost $700,000. And Sergeant Cantrell did an amazing job of outlining all of their goals and objectives and progress. And in my opinion, it will be very helpful in crime reduction in Hot Springs, and then also improve the quality of neighborhoods all around our city. He did share with us too that since February 20th, they made a total of 26 felony warrants. So that's a step in the right direction for our city and helping to keep everybody safe, our families and our property. Again, congratulations, Chief. And then second, I want to thank the Planning Department, Ms. Selman and Mr. Scott for sharing with Director Beard and I a couple of weeks ago the 2023 vacant structure database grid to kind of outline all the vacant properties that are within each district of Hot Springs. And I obtained mine, and for District 4 as of today there are 12 properties on this list, and I spent some time over the past few weeks to go and observe these properties and try to contact the property owners if they were available to be contacted. And you know, I was not as much surprised, I guess, as I was pleased to see that 3 of these properties have just done a complete 180 since the vacant notice was issued. So I want to just give a thanks to these property owners, the property owner of 1324 7th Street, the property owner at 208 Fruitwood, and then the property owner of 264 Vineyard. I just want to thank those owners for cleaning their property up and investing wisely spent money in improving their infrastructure, which does help us address public safety issues in our city to keep everybody safe. So just thank you to those 3 owners.
Very good. Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. Bill, I think I'm going to be out of town April 29th and 30th, so can I bring that paint over to your house and put it in your garage?
Negative.
No,
Be
seriously.
glad to help you if you are going to be out. We're glad to help you.
Seriously, I want to extend congratulations and thanks also to the CDAC committee. I know this list that they presented to us tonight took a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of discussion, a lot of inspection, and I just appreciate the members of that committee, and I just hope that we can find funds to finish that out through any of those avenues that Director Selman mentioned to us tonight, but because these are all very worthy projects. I mean, several of those people have already left the room tonight, but I know this will change lives and change the appearance in our community, and I just want to publicly thank them for all their hard work on this.
Any other item for discussion from directors?
I move to adjourn.
No, wait, time out. I've got,
You paused.
well, yeah, but I give you all a chance. Earlier today,
We have a motion. and a
we had Youth Leadership Hot Springs class of 2023 here at Board Chambers. Participating in that, in addition to myself, was City Director Aaron Holliday from District 1 and District 5, Director Karen Garcia, and District 6, Director Steve Trustee. And they were very engaged, very interested in their community, and it was I believe it might have been Government Day for them, and so they had spent some time with the county and government, and spent time with Mr. Burrow, and then with us as a city board. So you know, if that's representative of our youth today, we're in good hands. So very nice, very nicely attended by them. Probably had 25 or 35 youth in this room, and very engaged, very interested. So with that, now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Director Garcia, did you want to go home?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Had a motion by Director Garcia to go home, seconded by Director Webb. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.